Live at the Vatican. That is Zakk playing Jakey Lee era Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon live. And
Yes.
that was, who else was in the band at that time?
On that one, I think that was
Mike Borden?
Father Trio and Father Borden over there. Yeah, without a doubt.
What did, you guys actually, when you were in the band, you never really played a ton of the two Jake records. You did Bark and maybe, what, one or two others, right? Not too
Bark,
much.
and then, obviously on the first tour, on No Rest for the Wicked, we did Shot in the Dark.
Shot in the Dark, which was a
Bark
huge
and-
song,
Bark
yeah.
and Shot in the Dark, yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
How did you, as a player, approach the Jake stuff? Pretty much do it as it was
just
played?
like you'd approach Randy's and you approach Tony's. You know, just learn it as close as you can. You know what I mean? I would never elaborate on it because it's, to me, they're perfect the way they are.
Right.
I mean, I always started playing with the boss is like playing in the coolest cover band, and you get to write your own stuff. You know what I mean? It's just like, which it is.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, for me as a guitar player, but it's just. But I'm a fan of those records. You know what I mean? It just,
Well, I was going to ask you about that too, because everybody knows how much you loved Randy, and those two records, the first two records, are untouchable,
Yeah.
obviously. But the two records they made that just before you joined the band, what did you think of?
I love
Bark
when Jake came out. You know, we loved him. You know, as soon as he came out with Bark and the Moon, then Rock and Roll Rebel was awesome.
Did you go see them live with
Yeah,
Jake?
I saw him with Motley Crue
At the
on
Meadowlands?
Bark at the Moon tour. Yeah, probably at the Brendan Burnham.
I was there.
It was killer, man.
I was-
Jake was killing it, man. I mean, the show was amazing. And then Motley Crue was slamming. So I mean, it was. My friends were huge. My one buddy Tom was a drummer, so he was a huge, obviously Motley guy. So, but you know, I mean, I was an Ozzy guy. So, but seeing Jake was amazing. And it was just awesome. And I saw Bernie Torme before. I never saw Brad. I never saw Father Gillis, but I saw. Who I thought Brad did a great job
Amazing.
on, without a doubt. I mean, he's unique in his own way. He's just original. So I mean, Brad's awesome, and then Bernie Torme was killing it too. Me and JD were talking about it because
You saw Bernie Torme's show was here. One of them was at the Garden, right?
Yeah, and I saw that show because we had tickets to see Randy. We were all excited and everything like that, and then but we saw Bernie Torme.
There was only like 4 or 6 shows with Bernie Torme.
But the show that we saw, I mean, JD, because me and JD were both saying. It'd be great to hear it now because, like, what we remember of it, you know, because, you know, everything's larger than life then, and you're 14, 15 years old. So, I mean, I was just like, all I remember is they opened up with Bark at the Moon, and it was, you know, me and JD had talked about it. It's just like, well, we were like, dude, he nailed it. And
See, that's interesting to hear you say that, though, and I don't know if that's just you remembering it as a kid because it was so larger than life, but I didn't go, I never saw them play with Bernie, but by most accounts, even Bernie himself, he wasn't the right guy for that gig. Like, his style didn't fit that playing at all.
Well, yeah, but I mean, him playing Over the Mountain and everything like that was, he was doing Randy, and the guitar tone sounded very similar to Randy's.
Right.
You know, with the chorus down there and everything like that, so it was just, and you know, I mean, that's the ultimate test is Over the Mountain, I mean, because of the guitar solo, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, that's, they're like, wow, well, here we go, you know what I mean? That's the tune.
Right.
So, but yeah, I thought it was great. There's Flying High Again solos he nailed, and Crazy, I don't know, I mean, everything.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Well, it's interesting to hear you say that because most people, including the stuff I've read with Bernie himself, has been like, well, you know, I got thrown into it and tried to help out, but it really wasn't the right thing for me. So, I mean, everybody's got a different take on it. I'd be curious to hear it. I'm sure there's bootlegs and stuff floating
Well, I
around.
think I heard this one of Flying High Again, and Bernie sounded great.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
You know what Brad Gillis told me, because I had Brad on not too long ago, and he told me that when he got that gig and he went in, they gave him a bunch of cassettes from the board of like the last 5 or 6 shows they had done with Randy to
Yeah.
learn the songs like that, and he still has those tapes.
Wow.
He
that's
says he
cool.
has them in a safe, you know, locked up. You know, he said he'd never do anything with them
Yeah,
without.
of course. I mean, but you know, but
But
it's cool that Brad's got them.
He's got them. I mean, he's got 5, 6 pro board recordings of the last shows Randy ever did, because those were given to him to learn.
Yeah, because there's such like
How
you
to
said,
do
there's
them
such
that way.
There's such few recordings of Randy. You know what I mean? You hear, you know, you just go on YouTube to get most of the stuff. You know what I mean, or whatever. But we're just Google it up. But I mean, yeah.
Have you had a lot of over the years? Have you had any sort of interaction with Randy's family? Have you?
Yeah,
You,
without a doubt. Totally, man.
And what
You
kind
know,
of...
with Kelly and Kathy and everything like that. So, and Mom, you know what I mean? Yeah, without that, my daughter Ray Ray was taking piano lessons from Mrs. Rhodes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She still teaches?
Yeah, well, Mom's, you know, she got pretty banged up. You know, I mean, with just getting sick and stuff like that, and getting older. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so, but yeah, I think Kelly was telling me she doesn't teach as much as she used to.
Right.
Not anymore, though.
Right.
It's too much for her to go down to the store. But she was teaching every day, all the time. Still loved it.
Wow.
All the time, man.
Zakk Wylde is here at 10 o'clock. We are live on Sirius XM. And we're going to take some of your calls and engage you guys in this riveting conversation right now at 866-315-2663. Black Label Society with a new record coming out in April. Zakk has just completed it. We also played Stillborn from a record in DVD and Blu-ray that is out now called Unblackened, which you can pick up, a different side to the BLS machine, if you will, as you could hear from that recording.
It's the softer side.
It's the... Every rocker has a soft side.
That was great.
So let's get you guys involved in the conversation right now. That's why this show is live every Monday from 6 to 10 Eastern. And the lines are all jammed as we answer and move through it. We will open some lines, so keep trying to get through, and we'll do our best to take your calls. We're going to start off in St. Louis. Our first caller is Jeff. What's going on, Jeff?
Hey, Eddie. Can Zakk hear me right now?
Yeah, Father Jeff, what are you doing, buddy?
Hey, brother. How you doing? The Hendrix experience, I didn't have a chance to tune in earlier, but you're actually going to be in my city in like a month and a half. I'm hearing Kenny Wayne Shepherd's going to be with you. Is that true?
Yeah, I think Kenny's going to be out on a tour, and then, but yeah, it's going to be way cool, man.
That's
Sure.
cool. What kind of, are you playing anything different on this? I mean, do you have a set list yet or anything like that?
No, I don't have a set, of what 3 Hendrix tunes I'm going to do. But I mean, I might learn a batch of them, just like one night play, like have a couple different sets. Like one night play these 3 songs, and next night, me and you were jamming. It's just like, Jeff, let's do these 3 tonight. You know what I mean? So just mix it up or whatever. So, but yeah, obviously they're definitely going to be jam tunes though, so we can stretch them out and jam. So I'm looking forward to it because all the guys on the bill are amazing.
That's cool, because I've never had a chance to see you, Zakk. I don't know why, I just never did, and so I'm really looking forward to the show. So,
Trust me, my wife and kids avoid the opportunity at all times anyway, so don't worry about it, bro.
Well, Jeff, definitely go check out a BLS gig, too. I mean, it'd be cool to see Zakk play some Hendrix stuff, but, I mean, you definitely want to see the BLS assault, if you will, if you get a chance, and I'm sure it'll be coming your way when Zack's new record comes out in
Yeah,
April.
St. Louis, man. Oh, yeah, well, that as well.
Let's go to Syracuse. Jason, you're on the air live with Zakk Wylde.
Hey, what's up, fellas?
Oh, Jason, what are you doing, man?
Hey, not much, man. Hey, Zakk, man, I've seen you 4 times. You're a badass player, and something. You're also. I think Eddie'd agree with me that this doesn't get mentioned enough. What an excellent songwriter you are.
I would disagree with you. I think his songs just blow, but
that's why we've had I've hired several songwriters out for this record.
the guys that write for Avril Lavigne,
A couple, and
The Matrix.
Also a couple of Eddie's drunk buddies.
Pull your mic up so people can hear you. He's doing the reverse Lemmy with his mic right now.
Hey, Zakk,
Tighten the sides, Zakk. Come on, what are you doing,
okay.
man?
I'm inexperienced here.
Not like I have producers or anybody that helps me.
There we go.
Okay, there you go.
Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just curious. What was the first song that you heard the boss singing that you had wrote? And I imagine that was probably a pretty wild feeling that I've probably stuck with you. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, the first tune I ever wrote with the boss was Miracle Man. That was the first one, yeah.
Cool.
Which ended up being the first single from that record, too.
Yeah.
That had to be, thank you for the call, Jason, that had to be a pretty surreal experience growing up a huge Sabbath Ozzy fan. And not only do you get the gig in the band, but, all of a sudden, you're hearing him sing a song that you wrote.
Oh, yeah, it's like being a massive Yankee fan. And
playing
a
center field.
Thurman Munson guy, and now I'm catching for the Yankees.
Yeah.
In the same spot as my hero. So, yeah, without a doubt, no different.
Let's go to New Hampshire and say hello to Steve. Steve, you're live on the air.
Hey, how you doing, Zakk?
Hey, what are you doing, brother? Steve, what's happening, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I hate making these phone calls, man, but you know what? I saw on the front page of Blabbermouth, from the blabbermouth.net, for like 3 days it's been up there saying, with your quote, saying that Sabbath with Dio was not Sabbath. Come on.
No, what I said was, Yeah, that's why I was just so funny because I was friends with Ronnie James Dio, and I just inducted all the Sabbath guys at the Rock Awards thing. No, we were just because even me and my buddies when we're sitting around talking about bands that we love and everything like that, I said, like when Sabbath started, we were just saying when Ozzy started with Randy and Sabbath started with Ronnie, we were just saying it just sounds like a completely different band. It doesn't even sound like Black Sabbath.
No doubt.
Like, put it this way. Put it this way. Put it this way. If the first, let's say, if when Sabbath started, again with with Ronnie, and let's say if the first single was Highway Star, like let's say if that song never existed, and it would, I'd go, and it's Deep Purple's Highway Star. Let's say Ian Gillan was singing with him. I would go, this doesn't even sound like Black Sabbath. With the kid, I would go, it sounds like another band. And that's all I meant. It's just like with Ozzy, with Randy, if Oz went out and called it Black Sabbath with Randy, and the first thing you heard was I Don't Know and then Crazy Train, I'd go, any Sabbath fan would go, this doesn't sound like Black Sabbath. It sounds like something completely new. It's a whole new band. All I meant was with Ronnie, if they called it Heaven and Hell right from the beginning, it would have been like, it's Heaven and Hell, because it sounds like a whole new band.
Yeah.
To me, that's all I meant.
They went through the same thing with AC/DC. Went through the same thing with Brian Johnson. It's a little bit. You see the difference between what is it? Highway to Hell and Back in Black.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, or like the same thing with Van Halen. You know what I mean? How like people call it Van Hagar or whatever. You know what I mean?
Did you like the Van Halen albums with Sammy Hagar?
But it's two different sounds. What I'm saying, Eddie's.
No,
writing,
I agree with you. But did you like them as a fan? Were you a fan of
without
that
a
era?
doubt, Round and Round and all that stuff. I dig that. But I mean, obviously, my first was obviously the Dave Van Halen. You know what I mean?
Now, to Steve's point about the Dio Sabbath, what's interesting for me, we both grew up in Jersey. You and I were about the same age. I'm 49. I think you're a year or two younger than me, right? But we probably went to a lot of the same shows even before.
No, my first concert I ever saw was Mob Rules.
It was my
first concert. Yeah. No, I saw him in Philly at the Spectrum.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, no, but I love both those albums. I love all the Ronnie stuff.
See, because
the last album was killer too.
My first Sabbath record that I ever got, and I won it on the boardwalk at Seaside Heights at the wheel, with a Union Jack.
No, totally.
Being a Jersey guy, you remember these stands, and I won when I was a kid. I was 15 when Heaven and Hell came out, so I went and my number came up on the wheel. And I'm looking at all the albums. They had all the album jackets up on the wall, behind the thing. And I see this cover with 3 angels smoking cigarettes on it. I'm like, oh, that'll piss off my parents. I'll take that one. I didn't even know. And, I heard of Black Sabbath. I took that. Heaven and Hell was my first exposure to Black Sabbath. So for me, personally, that was as much as Sabbath as anything. The next record I got after that was We Sold Our Souls. And then, of course, I, discovered all the stuff that came before it. But to this day, when people ask me about certain Sabbath songs on certain records, because I discovered Sabbath through the compilation, I can never always place the songs, whereas Aerosmith, Kiss, I can tell you every song on which studio record it came from. But because I went backwards, and it started with the compilation, I always get it confused. But for me, Heaven and Hell was the starting point.
I just meant the songwriting in general.
Oh, I know,
The songwriting sounds completely different than... like Symptom of the Universe compared to like Lady Evil and Children of the Sea, and it just sounds like a whole new band.
And why wouldn't it? I mean, Ronnie was a completely different sort of singer and writer and everything.
I didn't say anything. I think I love those records, man. But I think it just sounds like if they called it Deep Purple or something. I'm just saying it's a different sounding band altogether.
As such a hardcore Sabbath guy, I'm curious what you thought as the band went forward after Dio, like when Ian Gillan came in and then Tony Martin. Did you stay with it?
Yeah, I went and saw him on the Born Again tour. I like that record. Disturbing the Priest,
Zero the
Hero, and everything like that. So I mean, no, I like it, but like you said, I mean, do you think that sounds like Black Sabbath?
No,
that record?
not that record.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, but the whole thing is, it's just it's just a whole different sound. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it's just like, because, and someone goes, it's just a different sounding thing. It's not that it's better. It just, I love it. It sounds ass kicking, but it's just like if it came out right in the beginning and said, oh, there's this band called Heaven and Hell. It's the Sabbath guys, and they hooked up with Ronnie James Dio. It's like, dude, this is awesome. I mean, that's all.
But you know what, Zakk? Even here's what I got. This is a bigger issue, way beyond anything we're talking about here. But what this guy said in his point, asking you about that being on the internet, blabbermouth, what have you. even if that's how you felt, that's your opinion. You should be entitled to that. I mean, I don't know what this world is in that we're in now, where you can't, if you give an opinion, that's your opinion, that you should be entitled to have.
Well, it's the same
People
thing,
just
it's just-
friggin',
yeah, no big
everyone's
deal.
so nuts today.
Yeah, but my like my older my buddy Scott, his older brothers, I remember first James Bond I saw was Moonraker. So I remember I came back from the movies and we were like, oh,
That's
we
a
just saw
terrible
James
one.
Bond, and you know we saw Moonraker, and he goes, that ain't a Bond movie. He goes, Sean Connery's James Bond. You know what I mean? And I was just like, my first exposure to Bond was Roger Moore.
I love Roger Moore too. I just don't like Moonraker.
But what I'm just saying is, like, my buddies, you know, it's the same type of thing. They're like, dude, it ain't Bond without Sean Connery.
Hey, were
But I
you
mean, you know.
were you at the Sabbath show in Jersey? I think it was in '86 when Glenn Hughes came out and couldn't sing at all.
I didn't see that.
I was there, and I think Anthrax opened, and that's when Ray Gillen was standing in the wings and took over the gig on the next show because Glenn was so I mean, that's when Glenn was at the height of his coke and all the problems, and he was just. He talks about it in his book. I mean, he had, you know.
Oh, he was also doing steroids as well.
No, well,
He's under investigation.
He may have
Probably.
needed steroids to be able to physically stand up there that night, but that was a bleak period. Glenn tells me to this day that whenever I bring that show up and we talk about it, he's like, I feel like I owe everybody in New Jersey their money from that night because he was on another planet, you know, and it was really, really bad. But it happened at the Meadowlands, and it was crazy. I mean, he had nothing. He was blown out completely on drugs.
Oh, that happens, man.
Yeah, back then for sure.
He's singing his ass off now.
Now he
so.
is for sure. It's amazing how Glenn's come out the other side. 866-315-2663. Eddie Trunk hanging with Zakk Wylde in the studio. We will continue some more calls here. Let's go to Fort Worth and say hello to Brandon. Hi, Brandon. You're live on the air.
Hey, Eddie, thanks for taking my call, man.
Sure.
Hey, Zach.
Brandon, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, man, doing good, man. I got to meet you over Vinny Paul's at the barbecue on Giant Cowboy Open tonight.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Vinny's a Cowboy fan. That must have been
yes.
brutal.
Yes.
That must have been brutal to have to been around him then.
Remember me, man. You got a good pick with my wife, and I remember that night. Hey, man, here's the deal, man.
Wait, Zakk did what with your wife?
He was a good pick.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, man, on a different note, man, I had a brother fall down on a Saturday night, man, and this, you know, he got us into the bike riding and all that stuff. He was my best friend's dad, and he lost his battle to cancer, man. I just wish you'd play the Blessed Hell Ride for us tonight, if you would.
Without a doubt.
All right, we'll do that for you. We'll do that as our last song before we let Zakk.
Talk to you, Zach, and I hope to see you over at VP's again, man.
You got it, brother. All right, take care of yourself, brother.
All right, take care, Brandon. Thank you, man, for the phone call, and thank you for listening. St. Louis, Ricky. Go ahead, Ricky.
Hey,
Hey, man, you're on the air.
Rick, what are you doing, buddy?
sorry, I had my phone on speakerphone. I wasn't sure if I had taken it off or not.
Well, you're on, so go ahead.
Okay, one of my favorite songs that Zach did with Ozzy was Mr. Tinker Train. And I just wanted to know, what was the inspiration behind that song? That was kind of interesting.
Well, it's funny because when we were doing No More Tears, we were up in upstate New York, right? And I remember it was a place called the Tinker Street Cafe, right? And then it was a bar and stuff like that. So a coffee house, but it also had a bar, and then they have like live bands playing in there and stuff. And Oz had these stink bombs, and all I remember is we end up going into we're in this club, or in the Tinker Street Cafe, and we're just getting blasted, hammered. And all I remember is the band's jamming, this little band, and then everybody's hanging out, having a good time, getting tanked, and then it's just like Oz lets a couple of these stink bombs go off in this little bar. All I remember is like the band's playing, everybody starts looking at each other like, who just took a dump?
Were those little things that they pop when
Yeah, they pop and they sound like rotten eggs, man. They're like, it's the
They
worst.
smell like rotten.
it's
brutal.
It's brutal. So anyways, the boss dumps about maybe 4 or 5 of these things, man, and it's just like, there was a dog that like the bar dog, they put the dog outside, and then after that, the band, it got so bad, they couldn't even play, dude. The band stopped playing. And then just everybody just started clearing out of the bar, man.
It's like what I deal with in my TV show, doing it with Florentine and Jameson. And that's coming out of their asses.
The best was because, well, Steve Thompson and Mike Barbiero that were working on the record with us on the No More Tears record, they were like, Zakk, can I ask you something, man? What's the deal with the boss, man? Has he got bad guts? I go, yeah, dude. I go, when he flies, man, he just nerves. He has really bad nerves. Like the whole time. They go, has he ever seen a doctor for that, man? So we had this running gag was going the whole time. Like Foss didn't feel like singing. He'd let a couple of these bombs go off and it'd be like that would just end the session, man. I guess we can wrap this one up. But yeah, but the Tinker Street Cafe, I don't know. Maybe it just came out of something like that, but I remember that's where we used to, that was like the watering hole when we were working on the record upstate New York.
Very cool. All right, let's play another song here. Let's go to the Live and Loud record. And this is, I think it's cool here. And of course, everybody knows the stuff that you did when the studio records you made with Ozzy. But I like hearing you do the live stuff with some of the other guitar players. And this is the live version from Live and Loud of Suicide Solution. And tell me about when you tackled this one live. Any stories? Any?
No. I mean, it's just. I think the solo section was used to extend it in the jam bit. I mean, this was Randy's solo piece during. They'd play Suicide, and then Randy would go into his unaccompanied solo. But live, what we would do is just like stretch it out, and then Ozzy'd be going crazy with the crowd, and the buckets of water be going flying and everything like that. So, but I remember I used to run out to the soundboard from like the front of house. I'd run from the stage to the front of house and just be out at the soundboard jamming. So
with your guitar through the crowd.
Totally. And when we were doing arenas or sheds or anything like that, I used to go out to the soundboard and be jamming. I could hear everything pumping out of the PA, so it was always cool.
All right, well, here it is, Live and Loud, Ozzy with Zakk on guitar, Suicide Solution. We'll come back a few more minutes with Zakk as we continue here live on Sirius XM 39. It's Eddie Trunk.